I've been playing Ghost of Yotei non-stop and have some tips that are really going to help you get the most out of the game right from the very start. Like, did you know by pressing R3 when you're riding your horse, you can change the camera settings so it's no longer in widescreen cinematic mode. Don't get me wrong, I love the cinematic camera, but after a while it can be a little distracting, so it's nice to have the option to just quickly toggle it off when you want to, and you only need to press it one time and it'll be off every time until you decide to turn it back on. Now, it's also good to know that following the path of the white flowers isn't the only way to get a speed bump when you're on your horse. By collecting items along the way, you'll also get a speed bump for about 3 to 5 seconds, which is going to help you not only get to where you need to go faster, but you'll also be collecting valuable resources along the way. So keep this in mind when you want to deviate from the laid out path, or if you're traversing through an area where there are no white flowers. Now, obviously, exploration and really soaking in the open world is a main focal point in the game, and to help with that, you gain access to your Spyglass pretty much immediately. But I really encourage you not to sleep on this item. When you're out exploring, you'll notice these pillars of smoke, and if you follow the smoke with your Spyglass, it'll usually reveal the location of something good, like a new settlement, a resting area, or even a shrine or a wolf den. And once it's tagged, it'll be added to your map so you can easily go out and find it. But that's not the only time your Spyglass will help you. Even if you don't see smoke, you can still scan the area, and once you're close to something interesting, you'll get a little bit of haptic feedback from your controller. If you follow that feedback, eventually your crosshairs will change from white to yellow, and that point of interest will be revealed, and again, once it's tagged, that area will show up on your map. There are also some visual indicators that you'll notice that can help you narrow down just what to expect and what to look for. For example, a flock of birds is going to lead you to a bamboo strike. A red tree is going to be an indicator for a hot spring. A yellow tree is going to be an indicator for an altar of reflection. And there are also black pillars of smoke which will indicate nearby camps, resting spots, or settlements. Also, when you're out and about, be on the lookout for these little statues with the yellow hats and bibs. If you follow these, they're going to lead you to an altar of reflection, or if you're having a hard time finding the path that leads to the altar, be on the lookout for these cute little guys because they'll typically guide you right to it. Also, be on the lookout for Fireflys. These are a little bit harder to notice, but like the golden birds and foxes, they're going to lead you to different collectibles. And through a side quest from Husi at the Husko Katan, you can also gain the robes of Sidaranyu armor. This is going to give you haptic feedback when you're near a firefly that can lead you to additional altars of reflection. So if you're someone that really likes to explore and collect everything, I highly recommend you pick this set up early. Now, this set also works with golden birds, giving you feedback when one's in the area, but to be honest, I find these birds to be a little bit more distracting than helpful. So if the golden birds also drive you a little nuts, you can turn them off in the gameplay settings by setting Goldbird to off. Now, one of the things you'll want to make sure to do every chance you get is to buy maps from Isubaro the cartographer.
Why the Matsumai want to charter this place, I'll never know.
These are map segments that you'll be able to place on your main map that'll point to special areas of interest like the altars of reflection. These act a little bit like a puzzle where you'll need to identify landmarks in the map segment to find out exactly where you need to place it on the main map. Now, it certainly does help when there are rivers that you can follow to help connect it to the right point, but if you're struggling to find out where to place it on the map, you can simply just select the map segment and then stay still for about 10 seconds. After that, the game is going to help you out by showing you a glowing area where the map piece is supposed to go. This can really speed up having to figure it out all on your own, and it definitely makes it easier when there aren't really any distinguishing landmarks on the segment to go by. Now, of course, early on, you might not have a lot of money to buy these maps, so using the looking glass to manually tag these areas might be your best option. I have a couple of tips to help you earn a lot of money early, which I'll get to in a minute. But before we get to that, it's important to know that Isubaro isn't the only way to get those map segments. One of the new mechanics in Yotei is the ability to set up camp, and this is another area of the game where I highly recommend you take advantage of it because there are a couple of ways that camping can be pretty useful. Now, when you camp, not only will it fully restore your spirit, so it's a great way to recover after a battle, but you'll also randomly get visited by NPCs. If you're in the area of a hot spring or a wolf den, they'll talk to you about it before giving you the map segment that'll lead you to the exact location.
I left a bamboo stand nearby if you want to put in some extra practice.
Now, another great thing about your camp is as you unlock members of your wolf pack, you can basically summon those NPCs to your camp where you can buy supplies, upgrades, or even charms right from your camp without having to go around and visit them at all the different settlements. For me, I really like this feature and it saved me a ton of time, so be sure you're taking advantage of it whenever you can. And once you camp, that last camp location will get added to your map and you can use it as a fast travel point. This is another really nice touch, so if you're out exploring and you're kind of in the middle of nowhere, it gives you a nice place to travel back to in the future. Now, another thing you're going to need a lot of in Yotei is money or coin, and fortunately, there's a couple of pretty fun and different ways to get it. One of the better ways is by collecting bounties. These are basically like mini boss fights that'll typically pay out pretty well.
Let's talk. I've got a business proposal for you.
So whenever you're in a settlement, make sure you're visiting the bounty board and collecting the posters while you're there. Even if you don't set out on that bounty straight away, it'll get added to your list of missions, which you can flip through from your main map. You can also collect your own bounty poster that'll show up in each region, and when you do, your health and spirit will be fully restored. So definitely make sure you're taking advantage of this every time you see it. Also, by doing a couple of bounties, you'll unlock a sort of secret mission where you'll get a special armor for completing it.
How would you feel about taking on a special kind of bounty?
Now, I don't want to spoil anything here, but this armor really ended up being one of my favorites in the game, but I also found this to be one of the toughest challenges in the game, so you'll want to make sure that you are fully prepared before jumping into it. But now probably my favorite way to make money in the game is through the Zeni Hajiki minigame. This is a gambling game where you have to flick the coins on the table without hitting any other coins and without going over the edge, and I found this game to be strangely addicting. Now, it's not too terribly difficult to get the hang of it, but if you are struggling with it, from the accessibility settings, you can turn the Hajiki Power Shots display to on, which will show you exactly how hard you'll be flicking the coins. This is pretty much going to guarantee that you're able to win this game every single time, so you'll never have to worry about money again. Now, some might consider this a bit of a cheat, but you've probably murdered quite a few people by this point in the game anyway, so a little bit of cheating to get some coins shouldn't really weigh down your conscience too much. Now, another thing to keep in mind is that from the beginning of the game, you can pick which coin to start from. This is another thing that I didn't realize until embarrassingly late into the game, so definitely don't make the same mistake I did. Now, also from the accessibility settings, you can turn rapid button presses to simplified, which was going to remove the time requirement when doing the bamboo strike. This is really useful if you're like me and maybe your fingers just aren't as quick as they used to be, and those bamboo strikes end up being more frustrating than fun. Now, another thing the game doesn't really tell you is just how useful sake can be. By using sake, you'll immediately gain back a decent amount of spirit, which in turn will help you get back some health. Now, in order to use sake, you'll need to press and hold down on the D-pad rather than just tap pressing it to fill your health bar. I was way too late into my first playthrough before I realized I could do this, so definitely don't make the same mistakes I did. Now, chugging the bottle of sake will put you in a bit of a drunken state where you'll be a little bit wobbly for a few seconds, but I haven't noticed that this really affects anything as far as your reaction or your timing, so it's well worth it to get the health back if you need it. And once you've chugged that bottle of sake, you can take the empty bottle and throw it at an enemy, which will knock them back and stagger them. So not only are you getting the health back, but you're also staggering the enemy and leaving them vulnerable. Now, another good use for the sake bottle is that you can use it to see where enemies are in the area. By pressing and holding the button like you're gonna throw the bottle, it'll highlight any enemies that are nearby, even if they're behind walls or in buildings. This is a really good way to get the lay of the land early in the game before you unlock some of the mid-game abilities that make this a lot easier. Okay, and those are all the essential exploration tips I wish I knew when I first got started with Ghost of Yotei. If you found this video helpful or learned something new, leaving a like or a comment to let me know is always appreciated. And I'm cooking up some other Yotei tips and tricks, so be sure to subscribe so you don't miss a thing, and I'll make sure to post it right here when it's ready. As always, thanks everyone for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.